You remember I told you that the Japanese passed a bill for bringing all POWs to Japan at their expense. I wrote letters to the president, to the ambassadors, to vice president, to senators, to congressmen. I spent years writing letters. I was the commander of our POW organization for a few years. I wrote letters as a member of as the commander, which means that I was part of the United States agreement that we have these legitimate organizations like the American Legion, VFW, and so forth. I wrote letters and got no answer. Got no answer. It's not that I got an answer of no, nothing we can do. I just didn't get an answer. On November 11th, see, we're coming close to that now. On November 11th, 2009, I was invited to lay the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Betty and I went to Washington to lay the wreath. That morning, we got a phone call that came in from my office. Ambassador Fujisaki, the new ambassador to the United States from Japan, would like to meet me. I called Ambassador Fujisaki. He said, "Can you come to the embassy tomorrow?" I said, "No, Your Highness, I cannot. I'm leaving town tomorrow." "Oh," he said, "we would like to talk with you. And we can't do it today. Today we're closed." I said, "Well, that's a shame. What can you do otherwise?" He said, "Well, can you come to my residence here in Washington?" I said to Betty, "Are you willing to go there?" "Sure." And so we made arrangements, we hired a taxi, and we went to his residence in Washington, D.C. Went through security, quite a bit of security. We got to this mansion. What a gorgeous place. We got there and Ambassador Fujisaki was there to greet us at the door. His wife was there to greet us. We went inside, we had a little refreshment. Ambassador Fujisaki said to me, "Dr. Tenney, what is it you POWs want?" I said, "Mr. Ambassador, we want to be treated as equals. We wanted to be treated the same as all the other POWs. You invited them to go to Japan. We wanted to go. What did we want to do? We wanted to go back to see where we were working in the city. We wanted to show our family where we lived for 3 years. Number two, we want an apology. We want an apology from the Japanese. Here it is, 2009. The war is over. We haven't had an apology. We never got an apology. The United States never got an apology. Do you know that? And so I said, we want an apology for the mistreatment of the POWs. I said, the only third thing we want is that we want the Japanese companies that we work with, that we work for, we want them to apologize to us. Because they were the ones who allowed their workers to beat us. They were the ones who didn't feed us. They were the ones who didn't give us medicine. Well, we stayed there for a while. The ambassador was kind to show us around. We left and he took us to the door. And I tell you this in confidence, Mrs. Fujisaki grabbed me and gave me a big kiss. She said, "You're so wonderful to be here and tell the story." And I told her everything we talked about today. 2010, I got a call from the Japanese embassy. Would I be prepared to take a group of POWs to Japan? Would I be willing to write where we're going to go and how we're going to go? I said yes. I got a call from the State Department saying that they would work with me to any way I can. And so the arrangements were starting to get made that we were going to go back to Japan. I ended up with a very bad heart. I ended up with a valve problem. I'm not going to go through that. But my God, they told me I was going to die because they didn't have a new valve and they couldn't. I said, you kidding? I waited all my life to go to Japan to get an apology, and you're telling me I'm going to die. You're crazy. And so I did not die, as you can tell. And so we went to Japan. And the first place I wanted to visit was the American Embassy, where I went there and I said, you guys didn't even have the courage to write me a letter when you got my letter. So here we are. From there we went to the Japanese diet, where the Japanese Minister of Foreign Affairs, similar to our State Department, met us, took us into a room with television cameras and everything you could think of. He sat us down at a nice table, and he stood up and he apologized for Japan. He said, we hereby apologize for allowing our soldiers to treat you so humanely. And we apologize for doing that. Isn't that wonderful? We got that apology. So we did get a few things. And then we went back to the prison camps where we had all worked, each one individual. They traveled first class. They bought tickets first class from our home, wherever it was, to Japan. First class in Japan, first class hotels, first class travel, wherever we went. So we did get something that we looked for. That's what we got. What did we get from the United States? Nothing. Nothing. We had a couple of bills at the United States. I ended up suing Mitsui. I sued Mitsui on the grounds that they mistreated me, didn't pay me. And so when we went to court the first day, the Japanese had only one witness. The United States State Department was there as a witness against us. And so we went to court for 4 years. And for 4 years, the State Department and Justice Department kept saying the same thing. The treaty solved all issues. You're not entitled to anything. What about our back pay? You're not entitled to anything. Why? Because the treaty solved all that. And so we did the best we could. We had a win in spite of a loss. We've enjoyed ourselves, my wife and I, in doing whatever we can to do for our fellow POWs and Americans. I think that it's important that people know what went on. You know, we have an old saying, do you know the price we paid for freedom? No one knows the price that was paid for freedom until you see the men die, standing next to you and they can't live. And you know the price paid for freedom. You have anything else that I want to say, Betty?
You tell them about on the march what you did.
On the march. In order to survive on the march, I set goals for myself. I had to set a goal. I saw a group of caribou in the distance, and I would say to myself, I must get to that caribou group. I don't care what happens. I don't care how it happens. I don't care how long it takes me, but I must get there. So everything I did from that moment on was to get to that group of caribou. The Japanese said to sit down, I sat. They said run, I ran. Whatever I had to do, I had to get there. Once I got to that caribou, then I would say another group, another place, another group of trees, something. Had to have the goals constantly. And that's the only way I was able to survive, was goal after goal after goal. Anything else, Betty?
There's lots more.
I would have a few minutes. I still don't have to go to the bathroom.